Exploring Christian Theater. Hey, it's Ryan. Today's program is a little different than some of the other videos I've made before. I usually focus on Broadway, regional, community theater, but there is a whole world of theater that I've been involved with and experiencing for a very long time that I just wanted to touch upon. So I've done a little bit of research, but a lot of this is really just going to be my experiences and how I encountered what I am calling Christian theater. So, as long as there have been churches, there have been pageants and plays. As a child, my first experiences with Christian theater were doing the Christmas pageant at church. All over the world, churches do these pageants every year, usually involving every single child in the congregation dressed as anything from angels to shepherds, sheep to cattle. So, at First Baptist Church of New Market in Piscataway, New Jersey, I played Joseph one year and Gabriel and also one of the kings. I think it was Balthazar. Was that frankincense? I think it was frankincense. Anyway, my first experience with getting on stage was probably singing Away in a Manger in a Christmas pageant. My parents were always really involved. My mother was super involved in teaching vacation Bible school and Sunday school, so she often got roped into managing the Christmas pageant. I have great memories of her putting my dad to work, making cardboard angel wings in the garage, and it was always a really big decision in our house whether to do them with silver spray paint or gold. I also have a great memory of when I played Joseph. So we had this bouncy toy horse as a child that was a wooden horse on a base with 4 posts, each with a spring connected to the horse. And my dad had this brilliant idea to make this into Mary's donkey. So he put wheels and casters on the bottom of the base, and I pulled the girl playing Mary, shout out to Amanda Z, wherever you are, pulled her down the center aisle of the church while she bounced away on this toy horse. It was actually amazing stagecraft. So the churches I went to liked to do musicals and shows. I went to both a Baptist church and a Methodist church where we did lots of different youth dramas and performances. These shows are not shows you have ever heard of, and not shows that you will ever hear of again. We're not talking about Godspell or Jesus Christ Superstar. We're talking about original shows written specifically for churches and their youth groups to perform. They are fascinating and wholesome, and some of them have a few bops. Other than the Christmas pageant, the other typical sort of performance that I've done in a church is the Passion Play, and that is the story of Jesus being crucified. This often has a more somber tone to it than the Christmas pageant, of course, but it was always very interesting. And I played Jesus once in the Passion Play when I was probably 16 or 17, and I have wonderful, vivid memories of going into the alcove and my mother waiting there to put whips on my back, using her red lipstick to put the whip marks on my back. And so she slashed me up, and then I took that cross and I had to just pull it down the center aisle. Then that cross was put into the stand and I had to stand there. It was all very dramatic. And of course, I insisted that I wanted to sing Gethsemane from Jesus Christ Superstar, but they made me change one lyric at the end, where in the original, Jesus says, "Take me now before I change my mind." In our church version, I said, "Take me now, I will do your will." Just a little less doubt from the church version of Jesus right there. Sorry, Andrew Lloyd Webber. So I have to give a shout out to the most epic of all Christmas pageants that happens in New Jersey. It is a huge fundraiser for this church, and it is much more than a Christmas pageant because it is actually called the Living Nativity. It happens in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They even have their own website, livingnativity.org, and it is not just a story of Christmas. It goes through the whole thing. All of the most epic parts of the Bible happen here. And I'm talking about flying angels, rolling away the stone from the tomb, Jesus quieting the Sea of Galilee while they were fishing, and it ends with Jesus actually ascending, flying up into a cloud, up along the side of the church. And then afterwards, you can have coffee and cookies. It's not to be missed. They've been doing it for over 25 years. They have over 12,000 visitors each year, 12 different outdoor scenes. It is amazing. So if you're in New Jersey, you got to check that one out. So when I was probably in middle school, we went to another church to see a performance of a play called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames.
Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames.
Now, this was not an original production. Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames has been done hundreds, maybe thousands of times at churches all across the world. The earliest record I can find of it is a taped version of the play on VHS from 1986. And the premise of this play is that you see different scenarios of people in the last moments of their life before they suddenly and tragically die. And afterwards, they're in a bit of a limbo area where it is decided if they will be sent up to heaven and greeted by Jesus, or if a scary man playing the devil will come out and drag them to hell for all eternity. As a young person, this show was horrifying, but I was also totally obsessed with it. But looking back at it now, there's definitely some problematic material in it. Abortion, drugs, sex, not going to church, reincarnation, fortune tellers. The dangers of every and any sins are depicted here. Lovers and families are torn apart. People hug Jesus and go to heaven without a tear or care of their loved one being dragged to hell. It's problematic. But ultimately, the goal of a lot of this content is to get a conversation going, to see how people think about their own lives and the perspective of, will they be greeted and welcomed in Jesus' arms, or have they led an evil life? So a big part of Christian theater is what happens after the show. The term is an altar call, where folks are invited up to the altar to give their lives to Jesus Christ. Now, upon doing some more research, there is a ministry called Reality Outreach that facilitates churches putting on this same production of Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames by sending a team of missionaries with a trailer full of props and lights and angel wings to your church to help you put on the show for a few days. And if you look at their website, they have like 35 churches booked in the next few months, so good for them. I do hope the script has been updated a bit though. You just have to go down the YouTube rabbit hole because some of these production values at these mega churches are absolutely nuts. Full choruses of 30 angels.
I can see so clearly.
And really scary devils.
Remember!
Great sound effects and amazing, that's in quotations, cinematography as well, especially that 1980s version. You gotta watch that one.
Oh man, we're falling! We're gonna die! Oh no! Oh no!
It's bizarre to me that this type of camp performance is still happening today. Now, I love this type of performance. I love this weird, specific genre of Christian theater, but I have very mixed emotions about some of these productions and theaters themselves. The camp aspect is similar to that of loving a B horror movie. With local performers and such an over-the-top story and a poor script that relies heavily on filling the time with improvisation, it's a sort of bad theater that you can really sink your teeth into.
I am really sorry. And you know how crazy it is at our house on Sunday mornings.
So, going back to the types of musicals that are performed at churches, I had experienced performing these specific types of shows at a sleepaway Bible camp. My sister Amanda went to these types of camps as well. We went to 2 different Bible camps that were both known for having a week dedicated to music and theater that would culminate in a show. So I did shows at Baptist Camp Lebanon with names such as The Secret of My Success, which was a ripoff of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and another show, which I liked much better, called Go Go Jonah, which takes its inspiration from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat hit song Go 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 Joseph. My sister went to another church camp called Aldersgate in Rhode Island, and the real draw for her was that their musicals were original, written by a composer named Mark Miller, and these were all brand new Christian musicals that debuted there every year. And my sister played Queen Esther in a musical called Don't Mess with Queen S at Aldersgate. Unfortunately, after looking at their website, it looks like Mark Miller's no longer there, and they've resorted to doing shows like Matilda Jr., which is just too bad. When I moved to Massachusetts, I was very intrigued to see another Christian performing arts group that was performing locally in the town of Lunenburg, near where I live. This is a group that has grown its theater ministry to a level that the performances are too large to perform in their church in Concord. The group is called New Life Fine Arts, and every year they do an annual production of A Christmas Carol, and I recently saw their original production of a musical about Ruth from the Bible. Overall, quick review, the production elements are fantastic, great sets, costumes, lighting, great audio across the board. Attention spans have changed greatly, and the show I saw was about 2.5 hours long, where I would have been much happier with a trimmed down theme park version, about 45 minutes, hour and a half tops, maximum. So this type of performance is still alive and well on a small and medium scale, but now we're going to take the jump from the homemade, homespun dramas to something much larger. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Sight and Sound Theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This is an experience in Amish country, Pennsylvania, that you will never forget. I can't even put into words the magnitude and professionalism of these productions, which far surpasses almost any Broadway show you'll ever see in terms of scenery, lighting, video technology, flying, plus there is the use of so many live animals and a huge cast, probably 50 people in the show. This is epic Christian musical theater that is at its biggest and finest. They also have another venue in Branson, Missouri, and I'm absolutely not lying when I tell you that Moses, live on stage, presented by Sight and Sound, is one of the highlights of theatricality that I have ever encountered in my entire life. The way they were able to dramatize all of the plagues and the parting of the Red Sea and the burning bush and the visiting of the angel of death, give me a break. It was epic, gorgeous, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I've also seen Samson at Sight and Sound and Jonah the Whale, plus being obsessed the way that I am, I have DVDs of Noah, Esther, The Miracle of Christmas, and quite a few other shows. If you can get out there, you won't regret it if this is for you. I mean, this is very niche, specific people I'm talking to right here. And if you can't make it out there, watch the videos. They're all available to purchase on their website. So, we have all this Christian theater. I enjoy seeing it, but there is a struggle bus that I've been on, and I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about it. So quite a few years back, I auditioned at Sight and Sound, and they have a very interesting setup that they have there. I won't go into the full details, but they don't provide housing. So if you're gonna do a show there, you're expected to relocate to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And part of the audition process is a spiritual interview where you talk about your relationship to God. And they're really screening you to see, really screening the people that are auditioning to see who's there just for the money or if you are genuinely a believer. And that is really a requirement to be in the company because the prayer happens all the time. It is not just a performing arts company where you show up and do your job and you go home. There's a lot of prayer that happens all the time. There were prayers that even happened in the audition room. So something that's unsettling about the whole process was talking to friends and colleagues who had worked there, who illuminated me to the fact that they really are not welcoming to gay people. And it's sort of a don't ask, don't tell policy that they have, where they don't want to know about your personal relationships, and they definitely don't want you to broadcast that to the other members of the company, because they consider that a sin. And that is the biggest turnoff of all. It is also the most heartbreaking aspect of all of this. So a few years back, my partner, sorry to drag you into this, he was actually offered a contract at Sight and Sound at one point, and we ultimately decided that at this point in our lives, there is no good that can come from hiding who we love. So if you do work for Sight and Sound and you have found that they have changed any of their policies regarding gay and lesbian people working or performing in their companies, please let me know. Other than that, I do love their productions. I love their shows. So it is really something that tears me in different directions. I hope you enjoyed this look at Christian theater through my eyes. My intention here is certainly not to mock any religion, but just examine this unique subgenre of theater just a little bit closer. Like any theater, there are elements of the craft itself to both enjoy and criticize, and I certainly enjoy a lot of this theater. These are just my own personal experiences, and of course I'd like to hear yours too. So let me know if you've done a play at your church and what it was called. Have you ever seen Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames? Or have you seen an epic show at Sight and Sound? I hope to hear from you soon.